How can you grow in this new world in a different way? Well, if I think about looking at how can you make that happen, what can you do? There are lots and lots of different models, but which one is right for me? So instead of competing with those big companies, then thinking about how can I work in a different way. So Intel are an example of not working in terms of trying to compete directly with other companies like AMD, but working with the big companies in a new way. So Intel have 9 major clients in the world. Intel have 9 relationship managers. That is what their business is all about. And Intel have become the most successful company in the world in terms of microprocessors, be it for computers or mobile phones, what it might be. At one stage, they thought about, how can we create consumer products? How can we diversify? How can we do more things? But then they realized they were special at something. They were best at making microprocessors. And they focused back in there. And then they said, how can I work with the Dells, the Samsungs, the Sonys? How can I focus on just making the best possible microprocessors in the world? And if we look at somebody like Lycra, how can I create the best clothing, the stretchiest, more elastic clothing in the world for whichever manufacturer wants it? And if you look at Intel, it's not really about chips and power and computers and phones, it's about power of electronics. If you look at Lycra, it's actually about the stretchiness. And any clothing company in the world wants that brand name and wants the unique quality of the materials which Lycra can add to their clothing. So these are 2 examples of little fish who have learned to swim with big fish, the sharks. Small companies who've stayed focused and said, how can I work with big companies in a different way? And we call those companies pilot fish, or in Latin, Nautilus ducta. These small little fish, about 60 centimeters long, about that big. Dark blue with silver stripes. And you talk to any surfboard manufacturer, you learn that that combination is something which a shark will never bite. Black, dark blue stripes and silver. These are the fish who swim with the sharks. These are the fish who look after the sharks, and the sharks look after them. These are the fish swimming in the deep blue oceans across the world who say, I can get to places which other fish cannot get to, even other big fish cannot get to, because I'm fish looking after the sharks, and I'm safe, and I can do more that way. So the question for you, if you want to become a pilot fish, is to say, how can you be wanted by the shark? How can you be so special? How can you be so unique to the shark that they will never want to eat you? What is it inside your business today, or potentially inside your business, which can be so special to big companies, which they will want it, and they'll always want to work with you, wherever you're from, whatever you do today? And then think about how can you work with those big companies? How can you have a symbiotic relationship, a mutual relationship where they do more for you and you do more for them? And what is it which enables you to swim together? What do you do for the consumer or the business customer which adds value to make the big fish more special and more distinctive? And how, through doing that, can you grow like never before in new markets and in new parts of the world? And how can the big fish, the shark, grow like never before as well? So how do you become a pilot fish? It sounds so obvious. It sounds so simple. But maybe, just maybe, it could be the big new strategy for your company. Well, I'd suggest there's 4 steps, 4 phases in terms of becoming a pilot fish and looking for how can you develop those new strategies for profitable growth in this changing, connected, but turbulent and scary world. The first phase is about saying, why am I special? How can I be special? What is unique that everybody'd want? The second phase is saying, who will be my shark? How can I find that partner? The third phase is about growing together. And then the fourth phase is about realizing those benefits through some form of exit strategy.